Damn, guys, we almost had this.
Thank God it's over.
Bored of endless matchmaking? Take your first step towards ECL, experiencing real strategies against teams of your skill. Learn more at fce.gg/ECL.
ESL presents ESL Challenger League in partnership with Intel, Acer Predator, DHL, and Qiddiya.
"24 teams now down just to 8. 4 in the upper bracket and 4 in the lowers. However, we're taking ourselves to greener pastures as myself, Why Not, and Vincent Casts are going to be delivering to you MIBR versus Red Canids, the upper bracket semifinals, in one which I am very excited for. However, it's going to be a little bit interesting seeing as one of these two teams is not as they seem.
Yeah, you know, a situation in which MIBR not quite able to play with who they would like to have had the opportunity to coming into this event in two different fashions, with Clem and Kicker joining the roster, but I presume neither of them going to be here today. I say presume because I actually don't know when the ban that is the reason that Clem can't play, it's lifted. It was a week. It was a week ban, and I don't know exactly when that started. So I guess there's like a slight possibility, but for now, the expectation, neither of them going to be on the server for Kicker, you know, roster restriction as the move happened after they got this whole thing started here.
Yeah, and I have to say that I'm pretty excited to see that, but in the time frame now that we have to wait before they can be in their full force, we're playing with Nyx, assumingly, and Burns from the Academy rosters. Now, previously, actually, Nyx having been promoted to the main roster and now benched in favor of what will be Kicker, will thankfully be still sticking around in order to give them what he has left in the tank to try and make something work. But today is going to be the day to do so, because of course they have another lifeline should they lose out right now, but obviously winning is better than losing. So taking a stride victory over the Red Canids against their former teammate and once captain in Drop would be a major statement for them, but a feel-good moment for Drop on the antithesis of that, to where he's going to be hoping to claim that. But even still, I think that it being a best-of-3 format is going to give us a pretty good, you know, look into the eyes of these players right now on the side of MIBR, Academy players included. And I think you and I were having a little bit of a conversation as far as, well, obviously not going to be a full swing MIBR as mentioned, but still a place to showcase.
Yeah, and listen, a showcase that's very legitimate. I mean, I think we can actually just jump into one of those guys that we're talking about with our Qiddiya player to watch, because this is, for me, got to be, you know, the Insani show that we need to start seeing here, especially when you consider, I mean, that's almost never stopped. You know, he has consistently been so good. That doesn't change. And for me, this is a requirement when you're talking about the Red Canids team that, I mean, it's not so sneaky, but they have built a very high firepower roster over the last year or so. Despite, you know, a bunch of changes, like, yeah, these changes have kind of built into something pretty tough to beat.
Yeah, and kind of just sprinkling the last bit onto what will be the Kicker and Clem conversation for now is the fact that Insani's entering a territory of his career where players just really don't want to, or rather spectators and analysts alike and casters like us don't want to see him be wasted, don't want to see his prime years, or at the very least formative years of what may very well be the build into his prime, be let to squander. And right now, I think he's going to be okay taking a little bit of a, you know, we'll run around and shoot game as far as what will be probably a major grind for both him and the remainder of MIBR going into the next season and into the major as well. So with that being said, is going to be an interesting game to dissect, but the maps are going to be where MIBR and Red Canids have a decent amount of overlap, right? As mentioned, Drop coming over from MIBR as what was a temporary, if not hopefully long-term IGL experiment that didn't work out, finds himself on the Red Canids roster doing the job instead. So you can see that there is going to be a bit of a clash of I guess, styles that have been built up over years of playing with one another and against one another as well.
Yeah, I'm interested. I kind of blown away that we've seen Inferno ban here for Red Canids. I was kind of expecting to see a little bit more of like a train in the first round, mostly because that's been the MIBR go-to. If MIBR can pick a map, it's usually been that or this Ancient that we're going to end up seeing. That being said, the fact that they both permaban Dust 2, Red Canids said, you guys got it. If you we're not going to ban that, and instead we're going to get the best map in their pool, Mirage. I think that this is Red Canids doing a really good job of defining how this veto can go. For me, I think Red Canids probably win this veto because of that.
Yeah, I think that's certainly the case. For my expertise, I guess, on the two teams, it would have to be the Red Canids, in which I'm much more familiar with. Frankly, I've been a little bit disappointed with MIBR to the point where I've stopped watching them as much. So this isn't going to be somewhere where I'm going to be looking at them and hoping for them to do something major, because again, this isn't their team. But even still, looking at Red Canids, this is where on the upswing they can say that at the very least they can compete with individuals like an Insani, to where not many people may be giving them the benefit where it is due, the Red Canids, for the firepower they have in their roster, at least in terms of potential. That was the word that we were using, throwing around in the pre-show, as well as for the remainder of this series, I can imagine. So with that potential, looking to realize it not only under the in-game leadership of Drop, which has been honing his craft over the last year or so, but as well as the young individuals for a relatively young team overall, in players like Venom Zera, who hasn't really been put to the pedestal that many were hoping he would be, for Cowes, who drops off from Pain and finds himself once more playing at a lower level of South American CS, to which he's very much so capable of becoming a first, sometimes second, more likely star for a roster. And Che Jesus, the newest addition, somebody who we were a little bit disappointed with in his recent outings, at least in the last time we casted him.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me, because I do feel like there, at least on paper, should be such a plethora of star players on this roster for Red Canids, right? But Venom Zera, I think, has not really had the type of performances, at least not consistently. You certainly see maps here and there that I'd like to see. You know, Che, it wasn't really pretty last time you and I got to see him a few days ago, but this is still very early days for him in this roster. I mean, I expect that to become better and better as time goes on, especially considering that, you know, the system that Drop is you know, brought to this Red Canids team it's very different than, you know, where Red Canids were previously, and also, you know, one that definitely needs a little bit of practice. I don't think it's easy to cut and paste into this roster necessarily because of that. So I have some very favorable feelings with regard to like that being a long-term solution that's going to work. But you know, it's Drop himself who's been really good. I mean, personally, I can't really believe how good, honestly, considering that I don't think he should even have to be like a main conversation point of the firepower. But that's what makes this team so deadly when we're talking about them as a group that can just shoot hard.
Yeah, I think that was one of the more interesting things I had as an analyst to break down, was Drop's, you know, I guess, role in this team, not just out of his calling. Outside of that, his individual level is something that they rely on pretty regularly, and not for a bad reason. It's not like they live and die on him as their in-game leader to top frag, which is just honestly happenstance as far as the game plan is concerned. It's something that he has by design incorporated himself into as far as map structure and positioning is. And I think that I brought up some pretty interesting points last time around that I'll hope to hark on in this best of 3 as well. And seeing as we are going to be jumping into a couple of maps in which we've seen the Red Canids play time and time over, Mirage being one of them, he will have actually a very big part in their CT side in particular. We'll touch on that in a little bit. It's the T side start for them, though, seeing as it is the map pick of their own. It's MIBR who get the little bit of an advantageous beginning.
No, they do. And, you know, I don't think that you can really look at any of these recent or even not so recent results for MIBR in this map just because things so different. Oh, you're right. Now listen, seems like it might be bad, but TGE had to play in their previous upper bracket game, and he like dominated underdogs, or it wasn't underdogs, sorry, it was Audic. He like destroyed them. He was their best rated player.
Feeling for Che, for reasons that I can only imagine are related to the roster restrictions that may be put in place, or maybe not. I'm not entirely sure, but
I would double check on that.
If you could, That'd be very cool. At least to see the games that Red Canids have played in this so far, and if they've had Che whatsoever. But a very slow and steady crawl and creep through underpass with the rest of his players ready to pop into B. But the jump spot of Nyx, ever so thin, is going to be able to spot the red question mark of a singular, not a full sprint. And only then will they be made known as the Molotov hits the ground. It forces them forwards. It's going to be an easy picking for Burnzan. And Nyx, he's had an isolated T thanks to the incendiary hitting the toes that will not have anybody able to come to Venom's Air's aid.
And I mean, from that point on, honestly, with everybody arriving on scene, this becomes tougher and tougher, and Red Canids find that out the hard way. Nobody goes down here for MIBR and Sonny with a double, and I'll put that one to bed quickly. It looks to me, so they got a forfeit win against Glories in the first round of the upper bracket here, so they didn't have to actually play. The only actual game that they did play was with TG, and that was the one against Audit that I was referencing. So yeah, probably the case. I mean, that definitely did happen very recently. That's like a week and a half ago that was finalized, or at least the loan was. Those definitely changed the story a little bit for us when we're talking about the firepower that Red Canids have. I know that TGE played really well, and it would be cool to see that again, but I don't necessarily expect that.
Giving Insani the ability to kind of work the map early in this half, at least, is going to be a pretty good warm-up period for him to start to see a trajectory upwards. Make a statement as far as suppressing his opponents and not really letting them breathe all that much with the distance he can take. Obviously aggressive in top mid moments ago, has no right in sticking around any longer with one of their rifles. The SMG will trade places with him. It's a trade in which there will see none from Red Canids, not yet at the very least, as Burns is also capable of bursting away onto the last of them. They might not have armor, but even then, going back in for that with one singular clip and being able to find three, pretty good. And MIBR are going to be agreeing with that fact, seeing as their money swells. It's 4 players who are nearing the lower echelons of cash flow, but if they can convert this bonus round here, a true bonus round going on, then Red Canids are going to be in for some serious trouble. They're going to be in hot water.
Yeah, but that's a huge if, right? 3 MP9s, that's certainly significant. Of course, a map like Mirage, you can make that work very much across the map, actually. A whole different plethora of positions that you can play from for those to be pretty effective. It's actually an SMG on the T side as well. Kala is getting one. Everyone else with AKs. This is a Red Canids that on this T side, look to see them, running a lot of defaults, look to be a really methodical team. And that's part of what I was saying when, looking, if you maybe were a fan of this team, like maybe 6 months, 7 months ago, that you might not recognize that much of what they do. That's because Drops really adjusted how this team likes to play. This one, going to be a bit quicker of a pace, though, and execute towards B.
Didn't work out all that well on the pistol, but seeing now as Nyx is playing with less as well, not only his equipment, but his teammates, is going to be an easy overwhelm. It's something that MIBR were not in the slightest ready for. Prepared for more mid-centric gameplay, and when that doesn't come their way, you can see that issues arise as far as the justification of going for a retake, even something that isn't going to be all that fruitful for them. It was a bonus round I'd mentioned, so they're going to be okay with forfeiting it, able to buy up into the next regardless of whatever the outcome here may be. Maybe get some exits, force rebuys. That would be huge, particularly for Burns, particularly for exit, one of which is just on the outer extremity of that back hall, that back alley. And as they get closer and closer, the bomb will blow, and it seems that they will actually just stall out right at the end of Kitchen, especially after the HE hits just in front of them. They know what lies on the other side, and it isn't pretty. 5 sticking up for the T side, 4 for the CTs. One of the very few gun versus gun buys, if you want to call it that. Not a full buy, but seeing 9 players survive. That's a little bit wicked.
It's an early B hit, too, that's probably going to do a lot of heavy lifting for setting up the rest of this T side in some conditioning. Something that Red Canids showing pretty early. And, I mean, we didn't really see the full brunt of it last round, but it's a pretty deadly B hit that they have available to them. It's been like a lot of activity in that same area.
Yeah.
this round as well.
They've thrown 3 smokes in mid. They've thrown 1 top mid, 1 window, 1 con. And they've done that just to isolate some players as well as keep others guessing as to what's going on in that direction because they'll never fully know, particularly because of the top mid smoke. Now they're just going to go for it again. And I don't really hate this at all. It's one of those things where it's not exactly a pace changer, but you're saying to yourself, surely they won't rip it again. And obviously you can expect 2 players to be here, Burns being one of them. Burnzan, rather, more accurately, 2 of them on this team is going to get a little awkward at some stage, but so too will the fact that there's a player at either the left or right side of Nyx. Awkward indeed. Insani trying to be a difference maker amidst the smoke, ever so slightly spotted by Drop before the bomb is even planted. They've done a good job of clearing out every nook and cranny. So this one probably just done again, but again, for MIBR, they can save if they'd like and buy up once more. It's going to be a difficult conversation to say this over and over again, so I wonder what the change up, what the fix, the band-aid to this B site is going to be. So it isn't going to be very obvious.
I mean, honestly, I think that it's really hard to hold onto this B site, especially because I think, intended or not, I'm going to go with intended. The outcome of the way that they handled those mid smokes initially, of locking out the CTs, the immediate reaction there from an operand window is often going to be to go towards CT spawn and lean towards A. Certainly can do a whole lot of other things, but I think that Red Canids get a lot of value out of that being the case and that being the reaction.
Yeah.
Red Canids just take advantage that rotator further and further away as their attack actually comes forward. As for the question of what the adjustment is, honestly, not sure. I think a little bit more presence towards mid could certainly be a fix to that specific problem that we saw last round, but the B site's a whole different question.
Yeah, and I was going to say it would probably help a little bit if their B anchor had a rifle. I mean, you'd be considerably more comfortable in some of these scenarios, but here's a good change-up play. Here's getting the op already aggressive in towards halls, but history preparing for the possibility, so too has been posted, but there's a sliver of an angle for Burns. He can just sit on this one and never let it go. He has no reason to, but history, well, he's going to have to make some sort of a decision at some point. It's he who's constricted by time, constricted by the fact that they have to take further map control. Double up on Cat as well, so very mid-centric as they have been in this game in its entirety, but I guess the lean off of A is something to which Red Canids have not really accounted for just yet.
We smoke towards window. We're going to get a similar stance there as bottom connector. CTs throw a reaction of their own. Heat into the smoke, and it allows history a freebie. And for Insani to get picked out there, that would hurt even more so. Regroup, and it's back to B, it seems. The reaction already made here by MIBR, and it's into Burns, who nails the first attempt.
Not that far off and a ways away of joining the team if he'd so please, but he's just trying to keep players at bay for the CT side for everyone else to get into their positions to make something of this. But Burnzan playing peekaboo, head up and head down, and a burst away on a history as well. What a way to claw it back in a space where he has no coverage. He's got nowhere to fall away. He wants to be involved, and when he brings himself into the conversation, it's Red Canids who will see themselves out of the round.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a quick decision that Red Canids make. Instead of trying to actually fight there through the op of Burns on B site proper, they just entirely disengage. They get out through underpass, and they come back in right into where Burnzan is ready and prepared. Great work. He's just kind of in the cat smoke is where he was initially, and as that fades, vision acquired. Seems easy as nobody's looking his direction. Red Canids off kilter a little bit just by Burns taking that first contact, and it seems like maybe they want to take a target here, and it's a target on the back. How in the world has that one missed?
Yeah, I'm not gonna be too happy about that one if I am history, but the pressure that the MIBR players could be feeling, I'm not gonna say should, because we know that these are more experienced players, a majority of which maybe outside of the guys who are predominantly known for academy time, they're looking pretty confident, pretty calm. Burnzan in that last round, duels that are by all means easier for the CT than the T, but the elevation advantage and the ability to do that head up and head down game that I was mentioning, but not easy to hold your nerve with only 20 bullets in that A1S to find all 3 of them. bursting away and being conservative about your usage of ammo. The utility would be the same story for this round for MIBR. They've held on to oh so very much of it to the point where they can justify going for ramp aggression. They can go for a retake if they need to. And not only that, but 20 seconds stuffed, a smoke to bottom con, and they have to go through. The Red Canids have no other options other than to get onto the hot foot forward.
Oh, and it's Insani who gets leveled out. Double entry from Venomzera, and it's Burnzan who's going to have to do it again. A triple last round, and he's got 2 locked down, but drop on the ladder. A deadly force as a nade breaks open the smoke. The cross still allowed. Oh my goodness, it's terrifying, but there won't be a way to deny that as Kawes has a cutoff in mid as well.
Oh my lord, there's so many moments to where my heart rate rises and falls. This can't be healthy, and Nyx, he needs to do something on his own before Burns can really even call himself a factor in this round. And as that incendiary doesn't quite work, he's going to call to his teammates, they mollied spawn, I got to get out of here, I'm saving. And it's too late for his teammate who's already been down. Cow is good on the mid lurk, only to find his first kill in the series, or rather map. I mean, I guess both are true. But that is going to be a 3-3 tie up. It's where this game is not really leaving us with any domination. But we are seeing some, I would say, unexpected players turn up here. Burnzan being one of them. Somebody who was needed at the side and at the shoulder of Insani. Given the fact that they're out their 2 main roster players now. And Venomzera, who is somebody who we were kind of, you know, not skeptical of, but certainly wanting more from given the hype that was drawn up around his name in the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's valid to say Venomzera has been a little bit inconsistent, and he certainly has some really good performances too. I had talked in a game that you and I did a couple days ago that I actually really think his Mirage is great. But I'm usually talking about it like a CT side more than anything. Street not having the greatest of beginnings on his own. That's another one that probably should have been his, but Jiggle allows an escape. It's Burns now looking to get posted up. He's on Cat with the AWP. This is basically the effect of all of the mid control, all of those B hits. When it's a gamble here for MIBR, they're not worried about A. And that's exactly where Red Canids are going to attack.
Gonna have to go through one of those pieces of utility at some stage, potentially. A nice boost, a good idea, but the weapon not really going to match the occasion. The Desert Eagle would have had to have been surgical, and Insani willing to offer up his life in order to give Exit the chance of success, and through the smoke actually lines it onto TGE. Coach removed. That's not going to feel very good. AWP still in question. Burns, if he can get a good line, if he can bait out his lower HP teammates as just targets pull across, and maybe they can make something of this, but they don't want to look any further in, it so seems. They don't want to lose that sniper rifle above all else, which I can respect. We're still only just reaching halfway through the half, so at that point, there are still gun rounds to be procured. There are still moments in where the finances are going to need to be held close.
Well, this attempted damage is really important, actually, for MIBR.
Or not.
I mean, they've done their job, though. The whole idea here is save the op, do as much damage as you can. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's great. MIBR get so much more from that than they probably should have. Force rebuys on everyone. That one is pretty painful, all things considered, for how easy the round is in retrospect. I think it's kind of interesting that Burns is the guy opping right now. Obviously, you know, somebody probably going to take it when necessary, but it's, you know, part of the game plan. Just straight up is to have an op every round that they can, and Burns is there. He's never been an opper. He was a secondary opper like 4 years ago.
Who's that?
Like Godson Academy.
Who's that you're talking about? Burns?
Burns, yeah.
Oh, I didn't remember him even being a secondary op.
I double checked because I was like, has he even ever?
Yeah. And then I thought for like 4 seconds when I saw the roster that they were playing with, that if this was the Knicks, that was the opper who was on Sharks, because they're two Brazilian Knicks.
That one's with a 1, so.
Yeah. Very different. Molly after Molly after Molly after Molly. Oh my lord. The A site has been engulfed in flames and lucky to be alive as long as he was. His exit, frankly, as they couldn't make their way through their own. It is going to be Burns who does get there in time. Great angle adjustment onto this third player. However, he's not going to be playing on a common angle. It's going to be Venom's there who plays at missiles, and Insani will deal with him. Nobody close up to him any longer, but what this means now is a very ugly scenario for TGE in history with a singular flashbang to utilize to tear apart 4.
I mean, they're just hoping the MIBR are going to make some sort of mistake here. Going to get overzealous, going to overstep, do something to hand back a lifeline to the Canids. MIBR, they seem stalwart. They don't really seem like they're that interested in over-exaggerating this. So history starts to make the move. He's got TGE right beside. Can we get a little boost up here? I think this is one way to find an opening. That'll work out wonders there.
Okay, TGE slotting in for his first kill just as well, and there goes that one flash. It is going to be pesky to Burns, but Nyx will go beyond it, and he'll get shut down. Have they actually done a 2 versus 4? Right now, in a moment where they knew that the bomb was at center stage, they had it set, and everybody knew their play. It was a 2-player position from both spawn and from jungle, and Burns continuing to show some off prowess, needs to deal with the offer of Canids, who plays with the rifle and somehow makes mincemeat of MIBR. That is something that simply can't happen.
No, I mean, and honestly, the saddest part about it is that MIBR don't really make all that much of a mistake themselves. The irony is, talking about how passive they were, that honestly is the biggest problem, is that they just wait and they find a way, Red Canids, to surprise them. That's the kill. History elevated onto Insani and then caught in jungle as well. MIBR fall in devastating fashion. After Burns had did so much. I mean, Burns has been the best operator this whole map.
That's why he's the GOAT.
I don't know that anyone is saying that.
History is actually going to be beat to the punch by Drop, who's below, beneath the player at Connector and Insani, who had not very much to try and shut them out from. The financial damage that they were able to do earlier on MIBR, at least silver lining, bailing them out for the 10th. This one is going to be a clean enough sweep and some individualism shown by an aim lab of Kawas. Spray transfer, very cool, very neat.
A 2v4 victory for Red Canids. That is the defining factor for this half now. We look at a very different complexion, I think. If that doesn't go down, we'll see the Canids take a timeout. So we're approaching the final quarter of the first half. I think top to bottom, we've seen a lot of great stuff out of Red Canids, though, generally.
You having fun?
Me, personally?
Yeah.
I'm having a great time.
Good.
Don't ask MIBR about it, though. I don't know that they're having the greatest of time.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to see what the AK-47 for Insani might do for them, though.
It's always a threat.
Trying to bring some levity back to this half will need to occur in this round, frankly. People have been complaining about the nade sound updates, and they're quite literally just complaining about the fact that the bottle with liquid in it sounds like it's a bottle that has liquid in it. I don't quite understand that, but
they need to probably just grow up a little bit.
Grow up, yeah. Burns and leaves nothing to the imagination onto the entry point into the site to where then he can just stall out, play a deeper position, and almost allow the bomb plant if he'd so choose. But Exit's going to have a different idea about this one, given that that smoke is ugly. It gives alert potential on the left or right sides of it, and he'll go for both.
It's all up to history. Missed some sitters. Now he needs some very tough ones. Don't know where he is. That scope's going to now give it away. Jumps over. Burns lined him up and knocked him down. An easy enough retake when Exit is left to his own devices in that fashion. Very impressive. Just kind of walks it in, and I feel like nobody covering the walkout knowing that smoke is so bad, straight up bad.
Kind of gappy.
A little bit silly. Yeah, one could say that. Little speed change here.
Like it. Oh my lord, Venom Zera. Decimating exit who didn't even know what was coming.
Awkward positioning with two in connector, but they break up in the smoke. The rifle gets one, the AWP the other, and with Burnzan walking through, he'll add another. Twice over there from Khan. They succeed. Trade successful as well, though, for the Red Canids. Will mean that they have a chance at this. History's up. Very strong positioning. In addition to this is Cowes smokes one off. Now History provides.
History, who has been historically on Mirage, bested by Burns. Using that sniper of his to try and circumnavigate one of the two of the defenders, to which they are looking to reconvene. Nyx on the outside of Murder Hole, holding his timing and holding his nerve onto the shot. Not quite. Actually lets it off pretty soon, but he doesn't let Cowes escape his line. And Burns is going to be the next of them. Smoked in his face. It's History to clutch. A 1 versus 2 with 40 seconds to go. Need to blow the smoke. No one's seen just yet, but it's Burns who takes a shot in the dark and actually finds it. This is a very interesting turn of events for a player who is only here in substitution.
Yeah, and I mean, flat out, wasn't very good when was in that. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's confident in these fights. The way he's approaching these are like really good. Not what I would expect from somebody who's doing it out of necessity, who's just required to pick it up and doesn't really want to.
Is Bro an Opper? May need to look back on this, because frankly, I wasn't even really all that impressed with him on MIBR Academy.
Well, that's what I'm saying, especially when he had an Opper that wasn't very impressive on MIBR Academy.
No shade, full shade.
All shade.
But when you're standing in the shadow of History, he very quickly pulls himself out of it and actually goes above and beyond the level in which we'd come to expect from him. Kind of necessary now that we no longer have Chade to, I guess, I don't want to say point the finger at, but kind of when things aren't going right and he isn't playing very well, it's got to be somebody else, because we're not blaming TGE.
No. Especially not when he put over like a 1.4 rating on the last.
Yeah, he got him here, man.
like, come on, what against Audic too? We'll see what Exit can provide, and it's been a lot in the past. Great flashbang, but they're not going to check him first. That Molly does spread, but Exit burns inside of it and still delivers 3, with Insani cleaning up the final 2. We're tied up at halftime. That was a nice one. We'll see you in a few.
We are so back, and right, Canids and MIBR had no hesitation in trying to get into the second half, seeing as they're tied up. They're very anxious to try and get their leg up over the other on the side switch, but right now it's gotten a little bit stalled out in mid to the point where I think there might have been a missed window smoke even.
It kind of looked like it. What a nasty headshot there from History. Got drop coming from Get Right as well, and the reinforcements have arrived in the form of TGE. Easy enough, it seems, to wield off this B attack when that's the case. Exit and Sani gonna have to try and bring this back. They both approach from the same position here in the apartments.
That's kind of tight. Not really too sure about how to make heads or tails of what to do in a moment like this other than just shoot your way out. And not like that's going to be an easy feat with them just kind of plastering themselves up against each wall, ready to play contact off the next. TGE Low is playing a little more reserved. The rest of his teammates, so too, just periodically jiggling out to see if there's anybody who's made their way over the balcony. They're going to have to worry about their backside at some point. 30 seconds left. Exit reveals he's still stuck around. And so soon, so too, we'll have to Insani. And as the last of them, the final barrier between a lead for the Canids. He will be put down. No issues really in History being able to so cautiously, carefully, and slowly tap down 3 makes it all the easier for the rotations for the rest.
Yeah, I mean, listen, History, I'm going to say it. He kind of needed that because he just got gapped last half by not just an Academy player, but a guy who's an Academy player who's not an opper, and he got out op big time. So 3 kills for History, a little bit of a get back maybe. As he's actually gonna do not this. Not the USP armor.
I think we have to just kind of deal with it at this point.
I know. I cannot like it though.
Oh, Venom Zera plays a very smart game and waiting for them to go by, as it'll net him 3 without there being a chance for anybody to turn about face until the 4th or 5th. And even then, he might have been slated up for a little bit more, but the ammo just not favoring it. Pulls the pistol too little too late, but the round is already done and dusted. Set in stone is the fact now that he's gotten a couple extra $100 that he wouldn't have otherwise had if he had gotten too quick to the trigger.
Yeah, and whole point of the USP is that that's what History has been able to afford because of it. No bomb plant allowed either. Nice addition. Going to keep the MIBR utility belts a little bit lower. Instantly, 3 players looking towards B. 1 going down into underpass, but 2 still interested, it would seem, in some control up there. In the meantime, a pretty quick move for Insani to get into lower mid.
Smoke to window now from Insani, who's gotten close to it. Whips it off the ceiling. Doesn't have to worry about getting swung from any other angles. An exit with a pretty quick thinking self-flash. Will now feel the pressure of making something happen. What was that? That was one of the new nade sounds, I guess. Did you hear that? It was like a ghost flying by exits.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe now I'm changing my mind on that. I'm gonna have to visit this in an offline at some stage, but exit not being able to get the kill there. Not perfect, but Insani certainly is. Stellar under the shot for Venom Zera, and drop on the move, doubles back around, and it's exit who's continued to linger.
It's been great in finding ways back in. That opener from Insani essentially seals the deal, I think, for this round. TGE is seeing if he can find anything, but he and CT so far away, and Kawez just gives the fight over to Burnzan. Well, this is all but over, and more so than it should have been. A couple of attempted saves was what we were going to be talking about. Now, likely to see all 5 hit the deck here for Red Canids. Their coach, the last standing. And not for long as Exit finalizes a 3-piece. Exit, I would maybe say been the second most impactful player here for MIBR in this map. And Insani, a really critical shot. This is the one onto Venom's era. That's what allows the opening towards A. But outside of that, I mean, Exit just dominating.
I haven't really honestly seen it. I feel like he's just been kind of getting kills in the middle of whatever is actually going on. Burnzan was the guy I was seeing a lot of the impact from, but like that's probably because we were spectating him a little bit more, I guess.
Just thinking all of those retakes at A.
True. Exit also, I'm assuming, temporarily taking on calling duties until Kicker is fully immersed to the roster, assimilated, if you will.
Was that actually reported that he would be calling?
I have no idea why he would join the team if not.
I mean, fair.
Oh my god, he's not. Oh my god, he's not.
No one said anything
He's not
when I was
calling.
looking it up. Yeah.
He's not calling. It's Exit who's still calling.
So
now it all makes sense as to the criticisms people were throwing their way. But I'm going to not knock it until I try it, I guess.
give it a chance.
Yeah.
3-stack here towards A. They're feeling a little bit of pressure, and the bomb is here. So there is always going to be some chances here, especially with Drop having a rifle from jungle.
This is getting a little bit crazy considering that they've walked in through the ramp and picked up an AK-47 history, already having found 2 frags by his 2 teammates having offered up their lives to do it. Nyx has a flash. It's Exit who's deeper away though, so that flash is going to go just beyond history. He will have another opportunity at a fight, even though he is the one who gets the drop on Nyx for the first couple of shots. Doesn't really connect to very many of them. And there was a real world that he could have gotten away with that, especially after the inspiration he granted me with the 2 versus 4 featuring he and TGE. I mean, doing the best that they can there to rectify what was an ugly scenario to close, but a win is a win, and we are at 8-8. So that force buy that Red Canids wanted to win the round with, nothing else, doesn't really do it for them.
Yeah, and you could start to feel like, wow, the 5.7 really did a lot of work. Yeah, unfortunately, the few rifles weren't able to do the same or similar levels. MIBR understanding where the money's at, a little bit of a passive approach. They just look to handle this mid control, then probably transition it somewhere else. But play together. That's the key. And that's what they've done for the first 35 seconds of this round is stick together. Our Red Canids that are currently 5 stacked on this B site. Seems where MIBR are going to be headed.
Oh, that's a pretty cool boost, actually. I haven't seen that in years. I'm gonna have to revisit that in my own games, potentially. But right now, without only just pistols, I mean, we're never really going to be all that great a threat. Chop down as needed by MIBR, not letting that one go any farther sour than the pistol round prior had. And Burns going for the T side op is now a new topic of conversation as far as whether or not he needs a role change, a career shift. Because this is where it really gets difficult. This is where it goes beyond just being able to hit some sitters and maybe go for a walk-in retake peek on common angles.
I mean, this is why when, I'm describing it as, he looks like he's part of the game plan is to have the op here.
Yeah.
Don't buy it for those reasons that you just highlighted on the T side if that's not the case. And he executes coming. Wide array of utility trying to deny exit from Palace, but that isn't very successful. Nyx gets out anyway. CT's encroaching, but not in front of the smokes that have been erected. MIBR got the sight, and now Insani's looking to take more. In and out, no, his escape cut, but with exit, his spam continues, and history will pay the ultimate price for removing Insani. Venom Zera and TGE, it's going to have to be another magical 2v4. It's now all up to the coach and a nice spray transfer, but the HP so low.
Yeah, he's still going to give it a look in. He's still going to give it a thought. as the spam through the box doesn't get a player, I think that point is where he doesn't really see that there's a reason to go any farther into this one, as the kit is not on him. He would have had to find it off someone else, if anywhere at all. When that doesn't happen, needs that money, needs that rifle to maybe gift over to somebody else to have a say. At the very least, as the MIBR hit 10, deal some damage to where against their 11th, there'll be some positives to look forward to.
You know, you mentioned a pretty lackluster half for Insani on the CT side, but that you were excited to see what he was going to be looking like on an AK, and you know, it's been exactly that. When you're talking about like the aggressive rifling and who is making the impact for MIBR right now, it's been all Insani. Turned around that less than stellar first half already into a very respectable scoreline. More to come, it would seem.
Down for that. GE blinded, still taking the shot and still going in for more. Looking sharp as ever. Gets an AK and there's another with a pistol. Burns, able to get the kill. But is he going to be able to stick up and in it? I doubt it. Especially with the fire rate in which Canids is able to send off with the MP9. It's Sonny, an uncharacteristic set of misses. And Canids pulls a USP out of his pocket. I didn't, in any way, shape, or form, foresee this to be how this round had unfolded. A TGE double followed by a Canids miraculous set of his own.
I mean, MIBR walk right into the one rifle left over, and I mean, TGE does so much. It's not just that first kill. He delivers a second and stays alive too, allowing for the MP9 to get into position. And like you said, Cal is just eager to fight. A big surprise to Insani, who had already whiffed the first couple of shots and was off kilter because of it. Great work out of Calaz and out of TGE. Those are the big weapons they had available, an MP9 and an M4. Otherwise, it was very limited for Red Canids. They take a round that shouldn't have been theirs.
Time out. Recuperate, recover. What has been lost to these rounds? That round, actually, at the very least, one to where MIBR can kind of shake it off to a certain extent. It's not going to be very easily recreatable. It's one of those that requires a change in the game plan from that point forth. Can't just run that same setup any longer.
Double molly and round.
A little bit of a miscommunication, perhaps. History getting a tag on the op this time around. Something that we had been a little bit disappointed with over on the T side when gifted opportunity, but a tag he will take. Fortunately, it comes the cost of Calaz, who was on catwalk, so it's another opening tool, another T side opener from Insani. Big. Insani just been placed into window. Gonna play the smoke fade potentially, and it's dropped the likely victim if that were to be how things go again. Meantime, flashes towards B, should pull him back, but it's dropped. Victimizes Insani instead. Op already ready for the window cross, and two players on the rotation. It's TGE who has support. He's been pretty reliable in being able to find his one, but this time not so much. Maybe history biting up more than he can chew. They're already on the backside of the pillar. He needed drop. He needed TGE. He needed anyone to give him a reason to push forward. And when drop gives him an inkling of an idea as to how aggressive he can be, everyone else falling around him makes it all the more precarious for Venom Zera to say that he can make his way over in that direction. It is going to be 11, but it is going to be enough money in the back pockets to be able to reinvest once more over, and the AK will be nice to have as well. Yeah, I mean, I honestly feel like for Red Canids, this is more just some unfortunate timing of like a mistake there, or rather not so much a mistake, but just a miss.
from TGE. Caught in transition. His history. Positioning initially was good. Utility, the second layer of that attack for MIBR, making it a little bit tough. But with 11 rounds now, Red Canids, they got a breath of fresh air. They stole away a round with just an M4 and just a MP9. Now, they're going to be very light on money if they continue to lose. And MIBR inching closer to a map victory on Red Canids' map pick.
It is quiet, and that would raise some alarms for me if I were the CT side. As History is able to deepen himself in towards Connector, he at least gets the singular frag, but from then on, it's the exit point, in which isn't very obvious to him. Thought that would have been the cue for maybe a closening of players, a tightening of the defense, but now Venom Zera, who's been playing pretty carefully in this firebox position for somebody to have their back turned. It's Burnzan, who is so very snappy to the skull to where he'll leave with 5 HP, but I think he'll leave with a round 1, unless they give this one more shot. But will they look to play for overtime? I think they just might have made the call, the committal, to fall back into B.
I mean, the reality is if they were to lose both of these rifles, they come in with such limitations next round too. And I think that's the actual piece that makes this decision a little bit easier for the Red Canids, with them walking it back. Another opener for Insani, and everyone delivering over the course of this map for MIBR. It's been, a team effort when you look at the score lines right now, but honestly the timings as well of, who's picking up the pace, right? You saw so many of those good rounds from Exit in the first half. That CT side probably not tied at halftime if not for him. And we've been discussing Burns a lot, and now Insani delivers on the promise that you expect when you have him. The firecracker of rifling that can be very hard to deal with.
If there was ever a time to finish this up, that would be it. MIBR not entirely wealthy within the range to where one gun round will siphon away their money just a little bit. Not to the point of no return, but just enough to where it gets questionable. And then against what would be overtime point is where we could see a sink or swim. What do you think about the AWP not being in the hands of History right now as far as what their game plan and alteration may become? It's going to be a mid-walk. TGE, the one to set it all up. The coach, the ones who's watched from the bird's eye view so many times before. Not a difficult play to make, one in which he'll conjure, but will see no success. But seeking that in towards A, it's a dry walk from Burns that's met with Venom, prepared for what may be an over-aggression and overzealousness from MIBR at their lead.
Ooh. Drop wanted to go through that smoke as well, and Sonny knows that there's some sort of threat there on Catwalk, and Drop will just fall back, happy with the advantage Venom Zera has just given. I actually like the MIBR toss-up, though. They really changed how they approached this round. Just been very rare to see MIBR contact out, especially like that on A. So whilst it doesn't work out, it's something that definitely had some threat to it. 4v5. Recovery gonna have to be grand.
Drop, I think he saw, that player trying to sneak into amidst the window and punished for their transgressions. Not happening right now. Insani ridiculed for his conceptual opening frag, which we've seen bring them rounds 1 previously, but this time his attempts are met with a silent eye. Turned over to the A site, but no. It's under the balcony, the first of them, which was set up the second. And Venom Zera is going to be able to snap him off the balcony, despite him actually being aware that it was a possibility and still clearing it, so props to Nyx.
Yeah,
Here comes that
Venom
moment I
Zero.
was talking about, that financial ugliness.
Yeah. Venom Zero got the opening kill, so I think that's why Nick's a little bit more aware. Yeah, it definitely doesn't get easy from this point on. It's Burnsan who's actually going to have the hero rifle. He goes a little bit deeper. Burns has a lot of money, actually, as well. And that, okay, yeah. Going to feel a little bit better. Speaking of AWP's history, given one this round, we didn't really get to see the mid play that Red Canids were drawing up actually come to fruition, but adjustment made again as history looks towards the Arab. He doesn't want any of that funny business from last round coming down.
I don't know what the move from the CTs now is going to be with the mid gap having been given for so long, 30 seconds, and no one had any line of sight into what was happening. Cowens is knifed out and TGE is repositioning to the center. It's all gone wrong. It's all fallen flat, and Insani on the lurk, not on entry, but still as needed to find his kills. It's a double, and it's history who would need to make it between a rock and a hard place, between Insani and a triad of players on the site hold. The B site is locked down for business, surely, and history realizing this will almost be shut down by Insani on the back lines, but even then, the 13th inevitable, a reposition to Cat, a one jump to make, and he'll hit it, but here comes the flash to fight, 45 HP, and just about 20 seconds on this clock. It's a good move, a flashy play to shut through the bench and maybe shut me up if he can find any more of them. Up close is the last, but my heart rate will settle, and so too will the dust on Mirage at a 13-10 victory for MIBR.
Oh, that was terrifying. History actually giving that a real chance at a clutch. It looked, yeah, it looked viable. He had even just looked towards the catwalk there, but either way, exit the safe pair of hands that honestly he had been up and down this map there when necessary, and a general team effort from MIBR. Or, you know, Red Canids, it's sort of a struggle for them in general, where I was looking towards, you know, what might be the win conditions for them in this map. We talked a lot about a guy who's not even here on the pre-show, and TGE, like we said, I mean, I think, you know, he had some impact, but clearly not the same type of game that he was posting up in that absurd audit performance, and you can't expect that.
No, you can't expect it, I guess, but a lot of the things in this game I couldn't exactly expect, and, you know, that was kind of what we were, well, expecting going into this game, funny enough, is the fact that everything is pretty much out the window, but we were going to need to see the individuals make micro decisions that will put themselves on display, and certainly having seen that from a number of players. I mean, we can go down the list of them, not necessarily in order, but Burnsan, Insani, Exit, 4 of those guys doing miraculous work on the MIBR T side in particular, where Nyx didn't really have to do a whole hell of a lot and certainly wasn't bad, but on the other flip side of things, it was periodically something impressive from TGE. History starting to shape up as the game had gone by, but maybe a little bit less from drop than we'd seen in the last couple of days. That doesn't need to be expected necessarily, but certainly when all 5 players of MIBR are just toe for toe outmatching them at most steps in time in these rounds, then there's not really much that can be said other than this is probably how we were expecting Mirage to go, a bout of the individuals in which I think one has just shined through just a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, and especially when you're talking about like Burns, that incredible CT side that he had, you know, big drop off to the T side, as we were kind of alluding to, might happen, but Insani, he fills in the gaps, and again, we've been talking about what that looks like and how incredible he can be on the T side, so no big surprises there in regard to what the fashion in which MIBR could win this map is. Now, I think the question is becoming, what does map 2 look like? Because we've got Ancient coming up next. And Tony, I'll tell you this, you know, this is absolutely a strong map for Red Canids, but we really haven't seen MIBR get the opportunity to play this map, you know, locally.
No, I'm kind of worried, if I'm being honest with you, because there's been a lot of heartbreak, there's been a lot of downfalls on it, but Ancient is something that we'll have to look forward to the future. And the last time that they'd played it was against underdogs. If we're talking about regional play, they had Klim, they didn't have Kicker, however, they still managed to lose out against that roster in ugly fashion, in my opinion, with Klim, the newest guy on the block, looking as sharp as he had. But Ancient on the docket in just a little bit. We'll be back.
I'll keep going till my speakers come below. I'll keep going till my speakers come below. I'll keep going till my speakers come below. I'll keep going till my till my speakers come. I'll keep going till my speakers come below. 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 Till my speaker come. I'll keep going till my speaker come below. I'll keep going till my speaker come below. I'll keep going till my speaker come below. I'll keep going till my speaker come below.
Sometimes you gotta pray for a victory. Yeah, I'm overzealous when I'm thinking about the cash flow. I never had no handouts, just came natural. I've been testing so much, all these restless nights, all these different situations that I've been through. I seen pain trying to creep in through the window, but now I'm sliding through the hood in a benzo. You gotta separate yourself just to elevate. I keep some drink in my cup to see through the hate. Sometimes on the road to glory, you gotta press the brakes. I got a lesson plan for all my past mistakes. I swear I'm proud of all my best and my worst days. Proud of all my feet when I touch the ground. Front of 8 at Beijing, man, they know the sound. I know I made mistakes, but my mama proud. Fans scream my lyrics out in the background. They ain't know me then, but I'm hot now. They say life's a gamble, you gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. Life down bad, you gotta pay the price. I've been through hell and back just to live this life. They say life's a gamble, you gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. When you down bad, you gotta pay the price. I've been through hell and back just to live this life. I'm faced with a lot of different choices these days. Do a rock and Rolex account or blue face. The whole world know my name off a mixtape. I still got the same brother since 6th grade. G-Wagon, red seats, we on Biscayne. Trips to the Florida Keys, we imported these. Thanking God for the life he afforded me. All this jewelry on my body, I could like the hood. I need a brown skinned chick just like Megan Good. Holding up every promise that I ever made. Music in the background, it's a serenade. Been rapping 10 years, boy, this ain't a phase. I paid dues, paid rent, and I stayed the same. I had teardrops running down my face. I've been through a lot, I had real pain. But thank God, cause we really on a better days. They say life's a gamble, you gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. Life down bad, you gotta pay the price. I've been through hell and back just to live this life. They say life's a gamble, you gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. When you down bad, you gotta pay the price. I've been through hell and back just to live this life. What's a life without sacrifice? Sometimes you gotta thank God and just roll the dice. Pacino.
The road to the top is a riddle. What will be my destiny? Money and fame are awaiting, but not enough is raining on me. Maybe I should give it all up. How much more can I take? Out here singing to the heavens. When I gonna get my break? I can run this town. Oh. I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. How will I get out of the jungle? Everybody wanna stop me. 10 more steps up the mountain. Now everybody's looking for me. Spend my life in the desert till something changed inside of me. Now I'm flying over oceans. Everybody looking at me. I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. beat, this is a shakedown. Order up that beat just like it's takeout. Show me you got soul inside those new shoes, and you can rock and roll with an attitude. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. You're the new MC, you got the remix. Keep it on repeat, just let the
Damn, guys, we almost had this.
Thank God it's over.
Bored of endless matchmaking? Take your first step towards ECL, experiencing real strategies against teams of your skill. Learn more at fce.gg/ECL.
ESL presents ESL Challenger League in partnership with Intel, Acer Predator, DHL, and Qiddiya.
We're going to find out if it is MIBR with an easy 2-0, or if Canids can bounce back. It might just be able to do it. Coaching the server, but Tony, I don't think that stopped them in the past. Will it stop them here and now?
Well, I mean, as far as will it, I don't know if I can give it heads or tails, because we were kind of talking about how this is a map and where the Canids look pretty good. You know, they play it relatively consistently, but without that player in Che, things might get a little bit ugly. It's a map that kind of requires there to be 5 players, at least on CT side, doing their job and functioning appropriately. However, TGE is a smart enough guy. He's a coach for a reason. So long as his utility is on par and on point, and he's not making outright blunderous mistakes, I doubt they'll let him all too far out of their sight lines to where they won't be able to make good off of his body. So with that being said, they're on the CT side, and where those issues need to be rectified if they do arise whatsoever. But already we're seeing that there's going to be a spur in towards this B site set up by Burns.
Yeah, long short smoke just been deployed. Venomzera, though, going to tag up first, and he's going to step in front of that smoke. Dodge on the flash, and the dualies fall. It's Canids for nothing, but unfortunately they weren't aware that Venomzera had stepped forward. So 3-on-3, but the bomb is planted now.
This is where now Nyx needs to be able to get out. Even with those smokes, pesky spams can be sent their way, and now the retake will soon be on as they begin to fade. And as they have no utility to get any further in, they're just going to need to do that exact mission in which I had said before, make good off of TGE's body, into where he's going to be doing it himself before they even need to worry about a trade. He's dealt with the first of them now with Burns, deeper into the ramp, and exit just above. But now as they get into the fights, it's the T's who are a little bit too scattered and spread for my liking, and too far to the taste of the Canids, who are going to be very cautiously worrying about not the defusal, but where they're going to be sending and allocating their bodies next round, now that they've got thousands above that of MIBR.
Yeah, that's a very good position to be in. And I think that, you know, the way that you had teed this up of, you know, when I asked the question, like, will this be a bounce back? Honestly, it is so hard to call, because Red Canids, they can do so much. It's a matter of, like, if we'll see that version of them, right? And that's always been the case, actually. And it is not changing here with this iteration, even with stand-in. Force buy comes from MIBR, and it's fast up B, but this isn't the final destination. Drop's actually going to get dinked down, and Sonny a little lucky to find that headshot. It was seemingly wildly off target. The bomb, in the meantime, is ready to roll out of A, but a smoke just refreshed in front of the T's, and the amount of space that Insani has found is going to mean a rotation here for MIBR.
Insani doesn't go any further up the ramp at that point, calls that there's nobody actually inside the deepest corners of it, and then allows his teammates to get close up to go for a re-execution, to where he knows that they're going to have to be a little bit loud if they want to go running back into it, Red Canids. So knowing that he goes into that site, dies, and loses that space could be a problem, he instead reels it in and makes himself a turret. Beams Venomzera at that distance to where now drop inside the cave at 8 HP should be no difficult target, and history is going to have his work cut out for him in seconds to scatter, as no longer does Drop want to integrate himself into that. Sees history sacrificed as a result, and the B-site is actually, having been befallen, a very interesting round that shows a lot of reserve from the likes of players like Insani.
Yeah, I think that not overstepping in that type of situation is really important. Obviously, Insani, he's a very aggressive individual, but being able to just, call a pause on that, allow the rest of the team to get into position where you can then work with them, claw back this round. Ooh, little fat finger. That's going to pay not only just 1, but 2 kills. Canids gets that and $1,200 extra dollars, though he'll eventually fall. But yeah, impressive round for MIBR considering all of these factors, and Red Canids to only be saving an MP9, not great. Not in the slightest.
I'm very impressed with how that round is orchestrated by MIBR from top to bottom, frankly. It isn't a full gun round. It's obviously them trying to make a return and answering early. And with those players at A being as reciprocative? As, I guess that would be the word. As receptive to Insani's call, which I can only assume he is the one to have made, that the B site was looking like the easier of the two to take, as opposed to tangoing with CTs inside of A. Nobody oversteps their initial point of contact to where in mid they will. TGE, without a player by his side close enough to refrag, Insani gets a swindled first frag, something to which you do not want to allow him to start a game early with on the T side specific.
Yeah, that's particularly scary, especially after the T side of Mirage. We talked about that a lot. So that is maybe the big upside right now for MIBR, because all of the question marks about, like, coming into this, like what the firepower looks like and, with 2 subs and all that, I think there were some fair questions. And we got a lot of answers on Mirage. Encroachment here onto the B side is what seems to be the game plan. Bomb still dropped, though, outside of that area. Is going to go back for it right here and now, and it's Bernzan on the other side in Cave. Moves forward, catches his wand, and History's escape. Not quite made, I thought. Instead, he'll fight his way out.
Yeah, I mean, he is just going to be hightailing it away, though. They're going to be playing for exits above all else. They're not looking to win out onto the round and keep their armor as well to try and make what this next round will be another save, at least something potent with just the pistols. Noticing now, MIBR have bucked the trend of losing out on conversions. It's actually rather been a pattern onto that of shutting down everything that the Red Canids on their CT side second, or I guess technically third, but rather when they have to force buy after losing a round that they've taken so heavy-handedly, they don't seem to be as stable as they need to on both now Mirage and Ancient.
Stability. Probably the scariest word for the Red Canids. Period. Like, organizationally and everything else. This whole year has been a lack of stability. What are we up to now? 7 roster moves?
This year?
For Red Canids, yeah.
I think there have been 6 players who are no longer with the team since the start of this year. You got Davideus, Phelps, Henny, Ponter, Cold, and Nizen.
And then I think it's also been... No, that's
the coach
Fluxo.
changed as well. If you
I was going to say, I think I'm getting them confused because Fluxo's also had 1 million roster moves. They changed 2 coaches this year.
They did.
Fluxo,
remember when FNX used to play on this org? Were you around for that?
On Red Canids?
It's pretty OG. It's like 2019.
No, I was not. I mean, I was around, but I did not remember that.
Maybe we'll talk about it for a little fun tidbit if this round goes as sour as it should for the Canids, but they only have that 1 SMG. Bernzan will be flashed to fight for drop as the first of them. Kawa is less successful than even he. And yeah, all right, I'm going to talk about what I was saying a minute ago then. So in 2019, they pulled together the first roster that they had for a couple of years since, and it was like kind of a legacy roster, pardon me, with like players like Knack, They brought on FNX, who they had actually benched Woody for just before that. I think they had some older players as well, like K-Tex, if you remember who that is. And Lotto was there even, and that's where he first got his start, because that's where he got his eyes from Godsent. They were like, wow, this guy on Red Canids is pretty good.
You know, that's funny. Knack previously MIBR's coach until JNT.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, how Counter-Strike goes, these things go in kind of a circle at some state.
Especially within a scene like Brazil.
Yeah.
See the same situation kind of happening, like NA as an example.
Yeah.
Such an aggressive fight here. Love the chain of flashes that Red Canids had for Cowes to continue taking different aspects of that fight history. Oh, he doesn't get caught. I thought he was in trouble. It's the opposite. Insani put in the bin. Very important kill that, drop, just hoping for a spam. Doesn't know about exit, and it's not for 2. Great trade for Venom Zera.
See Burns trying to entry up through B, even then. Not going hyper aggressive, but just checking out the pillar if anybody is going to be showing anything, and eventually they shall. So a 3 versus 3 equalized, but still looking to get out, or at least closer to anybody else to make the next move. 55 seconds, and they're going to be convening on this B site, where only history is going to be forwardly facing. A smoke in towards cave will soon fade, and they are going to be awkwardly set on toward TGE needs to honestly have some impact in this round.
Yeah, there's a smoke here. I was wondering where that would go. It's actually going to be for short. So TGE has a decision to make, and he holds back all into history right in front, and a brilliant trade. TGE's repositioned already. He's over towards long. Important frag from him, and as you highlight, he was required. He delivers for both of them.
Okay. There's finally something to speak of for the Canids. Insani in mid. I mean, shutting him down as a start is honestly one of the, if not the best ways that a round can begin for their defense, to be honest with you. If they can just sweep him out of the conversation quick, then not only does one position on the map that can be a little bit painful to handle in the late stages be no longer that great of an issue, but the player that specializes in that, as well as in openings in general, being set aside. So more of that, please. I bet that they're hoping for, but MIBR may even be reining in Insani at some state, trying to unleash him on a later date, later point in the round, perhaps. See if that's the adjustment.
Find out. That duel being history on the other side, and him being really important in the B defense as well. 2 really positive signs in addition to what you're highlighting. Being Insani the one to start off on the right foot. Nice flash. It's Cowes this time who gets given a little bit of a look-see. Insani though already crossed the Tetris, and that's the unknown as a whole. Insani won't be put down twice, not in a row. He finds 2 of his own.
Okay. There is Insani activated as necessary. I guess you speak on the devil and he shall appear. Big victory. On now. So far untraded. That TGE and drop. The brains of the operation are going to be pulling back into their spawn, but that would be unfair seeing his drop is the highest rated of the team so far, and TGE boosted them in the last best of 3, so maybe they're the brains and the brawn.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that. I mean, I was so impressed, and I know that, like, and it was actually on this map as well. Drop's performance on this map in their CCT playoffs that you and I had the privilege of covering was pretty damn impressive, if I do say so myself.
Now TGE, the last of them, may actually have not a clutch on their hands, but okay, I was going to say maybe a couple of kills, or he could just open himself up to an Insani 4th. That's very kind of him. Where's TGE been in his career? Because he's relatively new to this roster as well, I believe, right?
I think so, yeah. I think it's been 3 months, 4 months, maybe?
I thought that TGE was on 9Z at some point.
That sounds right to me.
That'd be a pretty good. I'm talking like peak 9Z too, so that's a pretty good roster to have been a part of.
Yeah, I think you've actually nailed that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can go fact.
I'm just gonna say that I have in my brain and give myself a big thumbs up because right now TG has seen some of the best that South American Counter-Strike has had to offer in the last couple of years, and right now has to be a part of what will need to be a resurgence to form from the crew that surrounds him. And does this USP go unchecked? Insani, and Sani, I guess it really doesn't make a difference. Is usually not so careless and will not prove to be in this round either.
Nailed it, by the way. Woo! It's just over 2 years, or just under, rather, 2 years with 9Z. Right before the beginning of this stint, right at about 3 months ago. Right on all fronts. Pretty clean and simple for MIBR, as you would expect on a round like that, where there's almost nothing for Red Canids. I think it's correctly a little bit slower. MIBR just take the space that they're given and then close in around Red Canids stack towards B. History's Up comes back, and I mean, it's all about this duel. Every round, it seems to come down to that. Insani delivers in this one. Cowes, he's really struggled.
Nade off that back wall, may be able to finish Venom Zera. He's just gotten away from it, but the Molotovs that hit either side, so too are going to make his life difficult. But able to breathe, not easily. Now restricted from such a right, as Drop is just by the side of Cave, to where honestly he might have just given them the slip over the shelf to get to that stage. However, he would have required some bodies to have been befallen, and Drop not only hit through the corner of that wall, but finished by Exit, who nails him in the head, not even requiring any vision, taking a shot through the wall in full faith. And now MIBR on 6 on this T side. I think we've entered a little bit of an awkward state into where Red Canids are going to have to be a little bit desperate and make some moves that get to the line of gimmicky, honestly, Vincent.
Yeah, I think they need something. Because, like we've been highlighting, I know it's been a constant conversation point, but dude, finding a way to punish Insani is the win condition right now. Do not let him win that mid control, and if you can't not let him win, don't let him get opening picks like that. It's now, you know, out of the last 4 rounds, been 3 of those rounds where Insani has just been perfect. Devastating. And the reaction there from MIBR, so swift, they get out B, and it's a huge surprise. That's Red Canids are just not prepared. It's great work all around there. MIBR know where the bread is buttered, and they know it's about Insani.
Nade right onto Burns' head, let alone the second that almost found him like dead on that entryway towards Cave that he'll cancel. And speaking on the behalf of what would need to be gimmicks, they try their hand at one, and it nearly succeeds to a point where they could have flooded down and maybe found another kill and some guns to make a rotate happen to a retake or something along those lines. They almost stuffed them back to the A site, actually, inevitably.
What's happened here?
But Nyx is getting walked in on an A. They're playing it patiently in a default set, knowing that the money is going to be awkward for the Canids, to where Cowes gets a gun, as mentioned, though they need to do a little bit further beyond just that.
I mean, Insani, off that contact, now he slides into a perfect location. He's not going to get vision on the crossback. Cal is putting hands on a newly minted AK-47. A little bit of a high-low there for Drop as well. Insani could certainly be caught by Cowes, and its exit delivers both. That's going to pull Cowes back, and it's likely going to be Insani to cut him down, depending on the timing. In fact, it's right now. First few stages of that round, good, maybe a little bit more concerning there for MIBR, but again, I think that their reactions have been near perfect.
Reactions on the T side are also not very easy to make on this map when things are getting a little bit weird. Obviously, there's your stable map control in which you need to take towards shelf, and then secondarily in mid or vice versa, depending on how hard you'd like to go, right? But when you lose that A space and you don't really know what numbers lie beyond just one player, that's where players making moves either a little bit too far forward or a little bit too fast could see the round just flop and flounder from that stage, even against lesser weaponry. This map gets hella chaotic, Vincent, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, I mean, you would probably argue the most chaotic. What?
Dude, Nyx is so lucky. But so too is history, I guess.
That was ridiculous. Maybe going from lucky to unlucky there. History loses his life. First to fall, Insani takes contact and a low HP. The second contact, hold on. Cowes gives them a chance, but Insani, he breaks it away as fast as it even came into a possibility. MIBR, they have found a groove, and honestly, I don't see it stopping anytime soon.
Okie dokie. This is kind of sink or swimmy territory for the Canids in this half. I mean, they need to get an upset round. They need to get something moving for them. And typically it's Insani. This time it's Nyx who walks out into mid and finds his multi. And from that point forth, it's everyone on the same places we've seen them defaulted all half long. Burns bottom ramp. Insani maybe not at the bottom of mid, but where Nyx would have been prior at Cave, just switch those two around, and everyone finds their one at the very least. And you can see that they're entering a flow state right now to the point where they don't need to call a whole hell of a lot in difference right now, Vincent.
No, I think that
stark contrast.
We've started to see that, you know, in the lead up to these couple of rounds that we've just seen as well, in the way that they're playing off of one another. It's automatic. It's so quick, and yeah. Flow state's a great way to describe it. And Sonny at 15-3 is not even just the cherry on top. He's the engine to making that happen, with Burnsen having a great game as well at 11-7. Gonna see a little bit of momentum being built up. Fast towards A here, Cowes in defense, but smoke in his face. He'll drop a defensive one on his own. They'll break open that smoke. He sends it through. He's got TGE as well. Bomb to be planted, but that could be denied. And it will be denied, courtesy of Drop and Venom Zera.
Dropping even another in Nyx, who has been ever consistent in these last 2 to 3 rounds, and this one not letting the foot off the gas has brought in a third into his wheelhouse. 1:15. A Molotov and a flash to ward off anybody to respawn, but what they lack is a smoke, as the donut one will fade. History, he'll look in, he'll peer onwards to where Nyx has to play some sort of coverage game for Burns to get closer. It isn't going to be this MP9 that gets the job done, I can only imagine. Now stuffed, now stuck, as History does make himself a known fragger, an entity in through Temple. He's not going to throw his body any more forward in towards that site, and Burns will have known it. He'll take that gamble and the fact that his back left exposed and try and make a game of his own of this with a smoke recovered. 40 seconds, bomb on his back, and History, ever so focused in towards that site, will be shot in the spine. The easiest pick that Burns would have had, and gets the weapon that he would have liked. No, fat fingered the E. He doesn't quite land it, but will he have heard Cowes is the question, as it looks like he's turned back, and the fact that he has this smoke makes it all the more simple to justify the swing back. And Burns, he will make good off of all the heroism in which Nixon delivered in the first 50, and this will be a 10-2 half for MIBR. How could you possibly have expected it? We're gonna have to cool off and hope, for the sake of the Canids lifeline in the upper bracket, that they can do something about this after the break.
A cacophony of voices chiming in for MIBR to deliver a 10-2 scoreline from the T half of Ancient. That in and of itself, so impressive, Red Canids. They've got everything to do on their own T side.
I'm not sure what a cacophony is, and I'm at this point right now, but very real is the opening pick for history in mid, where Insani on the flip side the last half was very quickly ramp things up to become the floundering in that pistol. This time turned about face. The Red Canids requiring this.
Two important duels happening right now. Nyx and Burnsand, both of them needing to win in either side, and it's 1-for-1 in either direction. Nyx stays alive. Very important considering that fact. Now, shift the focus towards Exit, who approaches Temple with some dualies in hand. They've got donut control, and this is the biggest moment there for MIBR's chances to retake. It becomes so much better now with that. More damage done. Burns claws back, and it's a back turn. History has no idea. No way! He misses that shot, but drop. He's still alive, still kicking, and still good for another one. Tap onto that bomb, but it's not a tap, it's a hold. Nyx stands tall. He waits, and he holds on to everything. Denied at the very last moment by Drop in a 1v2 clutch.
Drop will not be fooled by the stick. He counts to the 5-second mark and says, hey, wait a minute. It's a little too quiet for my liking. And I mean, Burns, for somebody who was ever so accurate with the AWP over on Mirage, being able to put crosshair to head on a player not moving back turn, that is an ugly turn of events to where Drop would have been locked. There would have been no way out of that. He would have been left a dead man walking. But right now, the tack timeout taken. It's MIBR's.
Yeah, I mean...
Pistol, and it looks like they kind of want to get early invested into this second half with the round buffer they have.
Yeah, they've got just so many rounds to work with. And so, especially when you consider how the first half went. Remember, Red Canids, they won the pistol last half too. And then MIBR said, no, actually, that's ours, and won the force buy. So, I think that, you know, a little bit of similar perspective coming into this round. And as much as, I mean, you know me, Tony, I am always a fan of like the careful, more considered approach of just like, you know, maybe hit a save. When you got so many rounds to deal with, there is never an issue with doing this.
Seconds are what could determine turnover moment for these pistols. At distances where close up and personal, these 5.7s could make a mockery of anyone looking to get in. The Deagle at a distance could tear one away, particularly if Drop isn't careful. With how much of himself he looks to show. But seeing as it's been called to almost a halt with only 2 smokes left for these CTs at a minute mark, somebody's going to have to do something a little crazy.
Bomb's still sitting outside of B, by the way.
Yeah.
So as much as this looks like there might be a little bit more of a move in the A direction, and that's what MIBR are feeling, the reality is very much different. All that utility just to do exactly what has happened. Pull the rotators over, 4 stack today, and a B hit incoming. I think MIBR
save.
Yeah, likely just to step away. I don't even know if there's a point in Exit sticking around to try and like find even a span through the smoke.
He's really hoping that somebody was going to give him it. So when that doesn't quite work out, I mean, 4 rounds, not the end of the world. MIBR again, just looking to use the round buffer in which they've got to give the Red Canids a scare here and there, keep them honest financially before their full gun buy is to come through. By no means trying to fall victim to winning a game too quickly. I don't think that is the case whatsoever. It's not like they're just trying to close this one out as quickly as possible. I think that this was a very reasonable purchase to have gone for, but it's kind of like the one test where from here on out, you kind of just want to maximize your gun buys one after another.
Yeah, exactly. It's the buy where, Red Canids are going to have the least as well. You know, so it's got its most efficacy in that moment. And listen, they've got to give it a go again. Or I should say they get to give it a go again. That's more correct. The 5 saving does allow for Red Canids to build economy, but at this scoreline, I don't think that's a huge worry for MIBR. He got 2? Cal has got 2 there, and he's gone back for more. 3K out of Cowes basically ends this round as it starts. A minute 30, and it's a 5-on-2.
Venom Zera just jumping over top side to see if anybody else wants to walk it in after those 3 had been flattened. Nixon and Sani are nearby. That's not the problem. And if they do go walking in through that hole, it would certainly lead to the doom of at least one of them, I'd have to assume. And Sani is 15-5. I didn't even realize that. I don't know if that's something that you brought up.
Yeah, he was like 15-3 a little bit ago.
Okay.
Towards the back end of the first half.
Even crazier.
Yeah.
And they're still going to continue onwards into this B-side execution. So, I mean, there could have been a world where they might have stayed and fought in towards Cave, but maybe just a late boost to try and do something funny or make quick use of that flash. So here goes nothing.
Boost it is. It's Nick's elevated.
Okay.
Got a little jumpy there.
Okay. Disgusting from Insani, though, to at least swing by another to where TGE has been on the receiving end of, honestly, most of the stinker shots this game has had thus far, particularly at the hands of a Deagle as well. Remember that Palace pop that he got reamed by exit through the smoke on Mirage?
I don't think that it's like overall been all unlucky or anything for TGE, but he has had a couple of those really unlucky moments. That being one of them. You noticed Venom Zera start to push long there, and then when that shot comes through, he falls back. He's like, nah, actually, I'm good. You can have the Deagle if he wants it. All these, all that force buy and getting a save and all that stuff does allow for this first gun round to be very significant. Everybody gets all the bells and whistles pretty much. A full contingent of utility. You've got a couple of kits. It's Red Canids that hold off, take their tack time out ahead of this gun round. They know the importance of this. There's no, we talked of bonuses back on Mirage at times. There's no bonuses here for Red Canids. It's got to be all good all the time.
Four over towards B, one at the bottom ends of mid. Kawa is eating a significant amount of damage, but not one that'll be converted by any gunfire from aggressors on the MIBR side in the slightest. It smokes on either end of Donut or Cave that makes it awkward for them to try and pincer on that position. So now Kawa has lay of the land. See what that really ultimately means for bro.
He might catch the Nyx here. It's actually crazy timing as Canids gets ahead of Nyx's vision. Insani, who was mid, already gone. Burnzan faces 4. Insani, his arrival. He just burns 1, but it's exit to do the damage with the rifle. Looks like an escape to be made, but Nyx, he's still in mid.
That lurk was so very simple from Cowes, who thought he might have been meeting his end at some point in that round because of how early it sustained the damage, but it's very short-lived. A fear. Bomb will be planted. MIBR have maybe another timeout to take soon enough. Don't really think that this round is all too indicative of what their final form can be on their CT side, given the fact that the AWP conversation is not one we've yet had. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Like, you're not going to get the op every round, so...
I mean, and I also don't think that... I understand where Burns was at on Mirage and whatever, but I don't think that that's necessarily, like, the win condition or anything. Really wanted to take this gun out of Exit's hands. I could understand why, but especially when you look towards the cash reserves there for Red Canids, they've got plenty. They need to make sure that this is a long-term success. They can't be going back and forth. Like, up and down swings are devastating for Red Canids when MIBR just need 3 rounds.
It's like for every 3 they get, they can only let 1 slip.
It's a great way of putting it.
So if they lose here, gotta win 3. If they lose again, gotta win 3. However you want to do the math, however you want to split those rounds up, the bottom line, the fact of the matter is that after this tack timeout does come through, the money that's been invested by MIBR with the loss bonus beginning to accumulate, we'll see them have something in the following, but I doubt it will include an AWP. And if it does, it's going to be limited and strapped on the utility. So as far as that is concerned, it's out of my question for this round, because we've got to focus on what will be 2 riflers and Insani and Exit, who were some of the most, as far as you were concerned over on Mirage, the most impactful as far as the rifler's gone. And right now, that hasn't really changed all that much.
No.
Some things don't seem to shift all that far away as often. One thing I will note that MIBR have kind of like a tell, I guess, as to what their finances are looking like, and I guess there's not really much they can do about that, is that there's just a lack of overall utility in either B direction or mid. So now it's 2 questions that they have to ask themselves, Red Canids, after having seen an A1S. Is it a full buy with rifles, or are they just trying to puff up their chests greater than they actually are?
Especially when it's Insani. Walk through this smoke, just a little bit silly, I think, from Nyx. The hope is that they can transition that advantage that Insani just grabbed into something a little bit more, but they had the man up. Lesser weapons, sure. And now it's going to be on Gatsu and Insani once again. 2 different attacks from 2 different sides, but posted up is Insani here from the back of the A site from default. Renzan getting into position, but Venom Zera very aware, and Venom Zera, he doesn't stop, he doesn't stall, and he will not be removed. Come one, come all, it is all Venom Zera in defense of this round, back turned, and even that is not enough to best him. 4-piece. Take Red Canids 1 step closer.
Donnie doing triumph, 1-upped, double down on.
I mean, I feel so frustrated by that Nyx push through the smoke, specifically. Thinking of what could have been with a little bit more patience. We're going to have to forget about that, though, as will MIBR.
Now stock on this a bomb site to where actually 2 players backed enough turn, but the second supplement flash from history is just that little bit better, but Burns even then swinging onwards, and all the CTs have arrived. I can't believe how quick they've gotten around this direction into what a read. History already hurt very early by that spam of Burns is going to, well, burn. And that's going to make it all the more simple for MIBR to justify these next rounds of however much money they need to invest. I mean, it's go time.
Yeah, they're allowed to.
I said they got to win 3 now.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. They're allowed to get that swift rotation in because they had Nyx actually like on the site proper. He was forward position, but they also had a donut player who was hearing all of the audio cues. So early warning system, nice nade from Nyx, really making up for that mistake in the previous. A run boost. Nyx the one forward facing again.
Right now, Nyx being the one facing into the ground. makes this problematic. Even when openings are provided for MIBR, things aren't exactly a surefire thing, so. And they'll go up towards shelf. Incendiary extinguished, not quite placed properly, and Insani on a directive to clear out mid has been given the task, and frankly, if he can do this cleanly, if he can do it dry, if he can do it all on his own, he may just get himself a duel that'll bring this not only back, but information. Insani just tiptoe backwards, or maybe Drop will just show it on a jump. What is he looking to spot?
I mean, hoping to spot somebody. He spotted and lost his life. Now Burns holds the line, looking for more. That sets up Burnzan on the other side, and it's a brilliant spray. Transferred to a third, never mind. Burns takes it away, but it is that duo tag team up at B that levels out Red Canids. Nothing allowed to move too far forward here as MIBR take 12.
Big ups to the team for coming back to life. Even if at one of the later stages in this game, MIBR, 2 stand-ins don't really look to be that uncomfortable in the system that's been put into place, I have to say. So great on them. Thus far, a 2-0 of all things in the upper bracket would feel very good, I'm sure. And I don't know what the next and final play can be planned, being how awkward the company of Cash is. But an AK-47 in the hands of Drop could be reliable. Pistols, maybe some pace to this one. I'm not sure, Vincent, but that really is the only reasonable answer. Maybe not necessarily a rush, but a pop of some sort just to catch players off guard and get a gun, some room to work with. Because if they're going to look to poke and prod picks, I just doubt that'll happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's a whole lot of room for that type of maneuver. And it is going to be a pop of sorts here. The attack settled. You've got the 2 big weapons at the very forefront of this. Into a smoke, but they're going to go through it. And they have to. Nyx ready to roll, and Insani delivers a multi. He's untouchable. 25 kills. He'll finally be shut down as Burnzan will finalize this victory 2-0 for MIBR as they lead the way through the upper bracket semi.
Oh man, that has got to feel great if you're MIBR. These are just the little wins sprinkled into what is a little bit of an off season for them at this point until they go into full swing, as mentioned, with Kickert and Klim, and now getting just a little bit extra further beyond what could have been expected, or at the very least what they're reasonably ready for in order to claim in this Challenger Cup. I mean, a couple $1,000 potentially now if they do win it all. That season 50 South American finals berth, there is a lot working in their direction right now, and the fact that they continue onwards through the upper bracket makes it a very comfortable set of time to come ahead of us, especially if they can bring Klim back into the action in the coming days.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's a certainty because he started off this tournament with him. Absolutely would expect that to be the reality. The longer that you can hold on to having a lower bracket, run if need be, is massive. And this one, I mean, it really is. We kind of talked about it, and it was the Insani show, I think, top to bottom. There was a lot more to it on Mirage, but on Ancient, it was just straight up that more often than not. Insani on the T side, devastating. And then the CT side, he did so much, even in rounds they lost.
Yeah. And now to the lower bracket they go. The Red Canids, they face off against the winner of a game currently going on as well. If you'd like to peer over onto some other channels for that, Glories and XW7M. Pretty good matchup in my opinion. I think that that's about as even as I could have hoped for a match to be in this stage in the tournament. So if you would like to go check that one out, nobody is stopping you, but I'm also not forcing you. You're your own person and you can do as you please. However, that is going to be the end of our broadcast here on the main channel for South America CCT. ESL, however, will be delivering you some matches later on tonight, wildcard, and getting info on the North American side of things. So don't forget to tune back in for that one in about 2 hours time. But Vincent, thanks for joining me here on this one. I appreciate you sticking it out with me on the quick 2-0, but it's going to be us bidding adieu. Anything you want to say before we do that?
No, of course, it's always been a pleasure. And on that note, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you here next time for more and a little bit later on tonight.
Damn, guys, we almost had this.
Thank God it's over.
Bored of endless matchmaking? Take your first step towards ECL, experiencing real strategies against teams of your skill. Learn more at fce.gg/ECL.
ESL presents ESL Challenger League in partnership with Intel, Acer Predator, DHL, and Qiddiya.